endometriosis. If you don't know what that is, you'll find out in this video. By the end of this video, you will know what endometriosis is, you'll know the causes, the symptoms, how you can help a friend that has endometriosis, and obviously if you think you have endometriosis, what you can do and how you can find more information about it. So this video is going to be a Q&A style video just because I always get asked heaps of questions and I feel like that's the easiest way to get across the information, and you guys are probably interested in what the majority of people ask anyway. So yeah, I get asked questions from family members, friends. I also run an endometriosis support page, so I also get heaps and heaps of questions from girls and women and also men asking about endometriosis. So I've picked my top questions that literally everyone asks and I'm going to answer them for you now. So the most common question I get asked is, what is endometriosis? So by definition, endometriosis is where tissue that is similar to the lining of a uterus grows outside of the uterus. So I think endometriosis has been found in every part of the body except the spleen. So yes, in the brain and everything. It acts like cancer in the way that it multiplies and spreads, so it can spread literally anywhere. More than 10% of Australian women have endometriosis or will have endometriosis at some point in their life, but usually the symptoms start when you're a teenager, and obviously 1 in 10 women worldwide have endometriosis, so just think about that for a second. That's so many women, and that's why we need to raise awareness. If you asked me what endometriosis is, I would also say it's a very painful and debilitating condition, and it affects every part of my life and is something that I don't wish upon anyone. How do I know if I have endometriosis? So you only know 100% for sure if you have endometriosis if you have surgery. So you'll have a laparoscopy and then they'll obviously look inside, see how much of it you have, the extent, where it is, and then they'll give you the stage. So I had surgery in 2019, last year, and they diagnosed me with stage 4 endometriosis. However, there are other examinations that GPs will put you through. So there are internal pelvic ultrasounds. I've had heaps of those. Yes, they're as bad as they sound, and they can pick up sometimes endometriosis, but mainly like cysts on your ovaries that they find. But yeah, I've had heaps of them and none of them came up with endometriosis, and I have stage 4. This leads me into symptoms. So for endometriosis, there are a lot of symptoms that you can have that sort of definitely indicate that you may have endometriosis. So some of the symptoms include painful periods. So I'm not talking little cramps or anything, everyone gets some cramps, but I'm talking vomiting from the pain, fainting from the pain, like bending over in pain, not being able to get up and do your daily activities because of the pain. So it's severe and it's debilitating. The next one is chronic lower back pain. I have this, it is so painful. I remember going to concerts and events and I've had to sit down, not because I'm tired, just because the amount of pressure on my back that I feel. Also chronic fatigue. A lot of us have chronic fatigue, especially like we get low iron and low B12. So yeah, you can definitely get very, very tired when you have endometriosis. Other ones you can have is infertility, painful intercourse, painful bowel movement, regular periods, and heavy bleeding. Everybody is so different. I only have a few of those symptoms, and other people I've talked to haven't even had like 3 or 4. So what I recommend for you if you think you have endometriosis, the first thing is to write down all your symptoms. So even in your phone, in your calendar or your notes, write down the date and write down the symptoms that you're having, because the first thing that GPs or specialists are going to ask you is, so what's been happening in the last few months? When was your last period? What was the pain like? And you've got to describe it as best as you can so they can make a better informed decision and determine what the management process will be. So definitely write down all your symptoms, and then you can see if it's getting worse or it's getting better or just staying the same. So the third question is, what causes endometriosis? Such a good question, because no one knows. It is unknown why endometriosis occurs. So if you're a researcher or a scientist out there, do some research for us girls, because we need to know why this happens so we can get a cure. However, although no one knows why endometriosis occurs, there are a few theories. I'll just read through them. I'm not going to explain them because this video would be 10 times longer. But the first one is retrograde menstruation, metaplasia, lymphatic spread, immune dysfunction, environmental causes. So those are just theories. However, there is family history, and that has been proven. You are 70% more likely to have endometriosis if you have an immediate family member that has it. So like your mom, your sister, your auntie, your grandma, then definitely keep that in the back of your mind if a family relative that you know has it. This was my case, got it from my mum. Love that. Another question is there a cure for endometriosis, and what are the treatments? So no, like I was saying before, there is no cure for endometriosis, so that's why we need to raise awareness. You know, girls are suffering with this for 7 to 12 years before they get a diagnosis on average, so that's why we really need to find a cure and prevent all this damage from happening to our insides. As for treatments, GPs will put you on sort of a treatment management plan, so they can put you on the pill. I've been on the pill for so long, and it's really helped me. I know there's different people with different opinions, but the pill has helped me. It's managed my symptoms and managed the pain, which was the main thing that was wrong. And if your endometriosis symptoms change, you're able to change the pill to combat that symptom. However, there does get to a stage where endometriosis is just so painful. I remember in 2018 I was in pain from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed, and it just got to the point where I needed further treatment, which was surgery. So you can have a laparoscopy and they perform excision surgery. So if you think about endometriosis as a tree, there are roots. Previously, doctors just thought it was just on the surface level, so they would just, I think it's called ablation surgery, and they would just burn off that sort of surface level, and they didn't do anything to the roots. And so women were having these surgeries, and then 6 months later they needed another one because it just grew back. And so once all the research has been done, they found that it was like a root. So what they do now is excision surgery, and what they actually do is cut out the root as well. So they just take a big chunk out of whatever endometriosis has invaded and make sure that there is no roots left, because obviously if there's no roots, it's harder for it to grow back, and hopefully you won't have to have another surgery. However, women who have endometriosis, it's very common to have multiple surgeries. I had surgery last year, and I can say that it is definitely provided relief. I still do get symptoms from endometriosis and IBS, but it is nowhere near as bad. So the next question I get asked heaps is, how can I support someone that has endometriosis? And I love getting this question. It just means someone is so thoughtful and so kind that they want to reach out to someone that has it so they can help their friend, or men reach out to me who want to help their girlfriends and things like that. So I always get really happy when someone messages me like that. But so having a friend or a family member or a girlfriend that has endometriosis is very challenging, and it's even more challenging if you don't understand what endometriosis is. So I do have some advice for you if you have a friend or if you have a family member that has endometriosis and you want to help them as best as you can. Number one would be, do your research. It's so important, like I was saying before, just to understand what they're going through, and they probably don't want to bring up endometriosis on every conversation. They're already living with it. They don't want to have to talk about it every second of the day. So if you go out and do your research and already know a little bit about the symptoms, and you can ask them questions about, so how's this going, or do you get this symptom, or how are you managing that, would just show that you truly care and that you've gone out of your way to do something really, really thoughtful. Second of all, understanding that endometriosis varies. So one day you could be completely fine and have a good day with minimal pain, but the next day you could just be bedridden in so much pain. So don't think just because they have a good day that tomorrow is going to be a good day as well. So the third thing is understanding that there is no cure. they are with this for life. You have endometriosis, it's a long-term illness. That's what people need to realize. If you have surgery, yes, it can help with symptoms, but it is not a cure. I know when I had surgery, all my friends were like, oh, you're cured now, or they just thought it. And whenever I said, oh, I'm getting a bit of pain, they're like, why? Like, you've had surgery, you should be fine. So yeah, just know that it's not a cure and they will still have symptoms, and it's a long-term battle, really. The fourth thing is that endometriosis sufferers usually isolate themselves and distance themselves from friends. It's not that they are doing that purposefully, it's just because sometimes they get embarrassed and also they think they're a burden, which we're not, but a lot of people that I've talked to feel like they are a burden, and definitely for me, I've felt like that before. So yeah, if you don't hear from them for a while, just reach out to them, ask them how they're doing, and yeah, see what their response is. It's all about just asking and starting a conversation with them just to show that you care. The fifth thing is understand that they're not lazy. Chronic fatigue, like I was saying before in the symptoms, is a major symptom of endometriosis, and a lot of people that have endometriosis suffer with it. If you had plans and you know, your friend with endometriosis says they're too tired to go out, the worst thing that you could possibly do is be like, oh, come on, like, that's so lame. They already feel 10 times worse for actually having to cancel that, and for you to come out and say, oh, like, you know, that's so lame. Sure you're tired. Like, you know, I've had heaps of those backhanded comments, you know, from parties from since I was like 18 to now, just having to say no to parties just because I was so tired. It's not that I didn't want to go. I love going, and I have such a fear of missing out, such a FOMO. But then having people come at me for being lazy and for being tired as an excuse, you know, I've cried from people saying that to me. So just be kind, know what they're going through. If you've done your research, like tip 1, then you would know that chronic fatigue is a massive symptom. Overall, I think just be kind. You never know what they're going through. I can look perfectly fine like I am right now, but I could be in so much pain. All the time I get asked, oh, but you don't look sick. And that is the worst comment you could ever make. If you saw my insides, I think you would say different. Just put yourselves in their shoes and just think before you speak. Also, doing little gestures is just so nice and so thoughtful. Like, cook them dinner when they get home from work. They're probably super tired and don't even want to think about cooking. They just probably want to go to bed. So if you've cooked something, that is so nice. So if your friend is going into surgery as well, just think about how nervous they are. Surgery is nerve-wracking for anyone, no matter if it's just a small procedure or it's a massive one like endometriosis. So it was really nice when I went into surgery afterwards. My friends got me flowers, and that was just so nice and so thoughtful of them. It was so simple, but it went such a long way for me. I just needed a boost. I was feeling so down, and obviously after surgery you're not feeling the best. So yeah, simple as flowers and just little gestures like that really do go a long way. So the last most common question I get is, I think I have endometriosis, what should I do? So such a good question. Make sure you go to a GP and talk to them about your symptoms. They may go a conservative route first. Obviously don't jump into surgery if it's not that bad yet. So they might go on the pill, which is like what they did for me. And you'll see how your symptoms go, and they'll track you, sort of come back in 3 months and see how it's going and if your pain has decreased or if it's still the same. They'll probably refer you to an endometriosis specialist. I recommend doing your own research on endometriosis specialists. There are so many Facebook groups and people you can reach out to that have endometriosis. Reach out to me if you're in Sydney, and you can ask them about their opinion of the doctors and their experience with them. My advice is always trust your gut. If your doctor's not listening to you, go find a new one. Don't even bother with them, okay? Trust your gut. If you know something's wrong and they're not listening to you and they don't think it's endometriosis, go find someone who will listen. That is the best advice I've ever been given, and I'm giving it to you. So this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learnt something during this, and it was really nice just to answer all the questions that I most commonly get. Please share this video or comment below. It means so much, and I want so many people to see this. If you share it and one person sees it that's been having symptoms, then you've done your job and they're aware of it now and they can do something about it. So please, please, please share, and thank you so much for watching.